The courtroom was packed, the air thick with tension. Reporters filled the back row, their cameras flashing, ready to capture what should have been just another routine case. At the defendant's table sat Officer Daniel McCarthy, a veteran cop with a record of misconduct, buried and ignored. Across from him, wrists and ankles bound in chains, stood Maya Caldwell, a black woman in her mid-40s. Despite the injustice unfolding before her, her gaze remained steady. McCarthy had accused Maya of obstruction, claiming she interfered with an arrest. The judge, an old friend of McCarthy's, wasted no time pushing the case forward, eager to deliver swift and severe punishment. McCarthy smirked, confident this would be another easy victory. Before we continue, where are you watching from today? Let us know in the comments below. The judge slammed his gavel. The trial had begun. Officer McCarthy, state your case, the judge ordered. McCarthy stood, straightened his uniform, and cleared his throat. Your Honor, Miss Caldwell was at the scene of an arrest. She refused to leave when ordered and actively tried to interfere with police operations. He shot Maya a smug glance. She was combative, aggressive, and completely non-compliant. The judge nodded, his expression firm. And what do you recommend as punishment? McCarthy didn't hesitate. Jail time, Your Honor. We have to set an example. A murmur spread through the courtroom. Maya had barely spoken a word, yet McCarthy had already painted her as a dangerous threat. The judge leaned forward. Miss Caldwell, do you have anything to say for yourself? Maya lifted her chin. Yes, Your Honor, I do. McCarthy rolled his eyes. Make it quick. Maya ignored him. I was there that day, but not as a bystander. She took a slow step forward, the chains at her wrists clinking through the silent courtroom. I was conducting a federal investigation. McCarthy scoffed. A federal investigation into what, exactly? A small, knowing smile played on Maya's lips. Into you? The room went still. The judge's brow furrowed. Miss Caldwell, what exactly are you implying? Maya reached into the pocket of her jumpsuit and pulled out a single laminated ID. The second she held it up, the entire courtroom froze. Special Agent Maya Caldwell, Federal Bureau of Investigation. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The judge's face turned ghostly white. McCarthy stumbled backward. That's fake, he stammered. This is some kind of joke. Maya arched an eyebrow. Is it? From the back of the courtroom, two men in dark suits stepped forward, flashing their own FBI badges. Agent Caldwell has been working undercover for 6 months, one of them announced. We have extensive evidence of police corruption, excessive force, and falsified reports, many of them linked directly to Officer McCarthy. McCarthy's smirk vanished in an instant. No, this isn't right. She was in handcuffs. Maya lifted her wrists. Standard procedure. We needed to see how far you'd go. The judge looked ill. There must be some mistake. One of the agents shook his head. There's no mistake, Your Honor. Maya turned toward the agents. I assume the warrant is ready? The agent nodded. Officer Daniel McCarthy, you are under arrest for multiple counts of misconduct, abuse of power, and obstruction of justice. McCarthy's face twisted in panic as the agents grabbed him. Wait. I didn't do anything wrong. Maya tilted her head. Funny. That's exactly what I said. As the cuffs snapped shut around his wrists, the once arrogant officer realized his fate was sealed. The courtroom erupted into chaos. Reporters scrambled to capture the moment, cameras flashing, pens scribbling. The judge, sweating profusely, knew his role in protecting McCarthy might come to light next. Maya, now free from her chains, stepped forward. This trial isn't over, she said firmly. It's just beginning. McCarthy was dragged from the room, his shouts fading into the distance. Maya stood tall. Justice had finally begun to take its course. The weight of years of corruption was starting to crack, and she intended to shatter it completely. A ripple of shock spread through the room. Reporters whispered to each other, sensing that this scandal was just the tip of the iceberg. The judge sat frozen, his gavel slipping in his grip. Maya locked eyes with him. "This is far from over," she said, her voice unwavering. "More names will come to light. And when they do, we'll be ready." The judge hesitated. His fingers tightened around the gavel. "Agent Caldwell," he finally croaked. "I assume you have evidence against more than just Officer McCarthy?" Maya's gaze didn't waver. "Plenty." She turned to the agents beside her. "How many names are on the list?" One of them unfolded a document, scanning the names. Enough to keep the department busy for a long time. The judge swallowed hard. In the back row, reporters leaned forward, sensing that the biggest revelations were yet to come. Cameras flashed, capturing the growing unease. A whisper turned into a murmur, then into a growing buzz of voices. More arrests were coming. More corruption was about to be exposed. And this time, no one would escape justice. McCarthy thrashed in the agent's grip. "You can't do this. You don't know what you're up against." Maya met his desperate gaze. "Oh, I know exactly what I'm up against. And I'm not done yet." With that, she strode past him, the full weight of her mission now clear. This wasn't just about one bad cop. This was about an entire system built to protect people like him. And Maya Caldwell was just getting started. What followed was nothing short of explosive. The FBI launched a series of raids on multiple precincts, uncovering a vast web of corruption that implicated dozens of officers and several high-ranking officials. The media frenzy was relentless. Public outrage soared as the truth came out. Citizens took to the streets, demanding justice. Their voices echoed across the nation. Desperate to save themselves, officials issued statements, trying to distance themselves from the scandal, but it was too late. The evidence was overwhelming. Officers resigned in disgrace. Others were arrested in dramatic early morning raids. The city's police force faced one of its biggest overhauls in history. The justice system, once silent, was now under an unrelenting spotlight. And through it all, Maya remained focused. Every revelation exposed another layer of corruption. And she wasn't stopping until every last one of them was held accountable. Her name became a rallying cry. She was invited to speak at conferences, praised as a hero. But for her, the work wasn't over. Each victory only revealed more injustices, waiting to be unraveled. One evening, as she sat in her office reviewing case files, her phone buzzed. It was one of the agents from the courtroom. "Caldwell," he said, his voice tense. "We just uncovered something big. Bigger than we expected." Maya's grip tightened on the phone. "I'm listening." "There's a list of names. High-profile individuals involved in the cover-up. Politicians, business leaders, people with real power." Maya exhaled slowly. She had known this ran deep. But this was deeper than she had imagined. "Then we don't stop," she said firmly. "We take them all down." She closed the file in front of her, leaning back in her chair, eyes on the city skyline. This fight wasn't over. But one thing was certain. Justice had found its champion. And she wasn't backing down.